Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the channel. I'm Mike Hansen, and what do we have here? Yes, that's right, it is a massive rig. We are going to build an insane computer, and we're going to go through it together. We're going to go through the unboxing, open it up, and take a look at it. So what do we need all this stuff for? How about video logging? How about graphic rendering? How about graphic design, photography, everything else, and not to mention your occasional game of Minesweeper. That's right, this thing will not tear when you play Minesweeper. More importantly, what about those Excel files? Tired of waiting for those things to process, crunch? Yeah, sure, it takes about maybe 30 seconds, 10 seconds sometimes. Probably do it in about one. That's right, it's gonna have 10 cores, 128 gigs of RAM, no joke, straight up insane computer, and let's get it built and let's take a look at the components. Let's get started. Let's start with the processor. This is an Intel Core Extreme i7-6950X processor. What does that mean basically? It's basically 10 cores. That allows for a lot of multitasking, a lot of processing capability to render, to do multitasking, and to get all this stuff done rather seamlessly in the background. Moving on, we have an impressive 128 gigs of RAM by G.Skill, Trident Z, very, very beautiful looking memory. Can't wait to unbox this. On top of that, under the covers for the motherboard, we have an Asus Rampage Edition 10. And if you haven't seen how this board looks, it is as sexy as the memory. It is going to go together. It's going to look sharp. More importantly, it is going to perform. On top of that, since we're doing an insane build, we need the GPUs. What do we have? Two Titan X going to run SLI Pascal architecture. I'm expecting some serious graphic performance from this computer. And on top of that, to hold it all together, we have a monitor, 34-inch Predator Acer, and with G-Sync to prevent the thing from tearing. That's right, we need that with this just to be able to get that done. More importantly, what else do we got? Let's specifically look at the video logging and our data storage options that we have with this rig. Basically, for video recording and video logging, we're going to be using a Nikon D7200. In addition, we're going to be using a Nikon wireless microphones. That basically sends the audio from here to the microphone, very clear, and it is Bluetooth enabled. Great piece of equipment if you're going to be doing video logging. And on top of that, we also have a Manfrotto camera stand, which is a very easy to carry, very light travel case, and is an excellent stand and very stable. In addition, with the lens, which is probably one of the most important things to go with the camera, we're using a Nikon 17x55 with a 2.8 aperture. Now for data storage, this is where it really matters. We're going to be using a Samsung 950 Pro NVMe memory, half a terabyte. On top of that, we have 1 terabyte, a Samsung 850 Pro SSD. That's going to basically store some of our library and data. For retention purposes, we're going to be running 2 Western Digital Black, 4 terabytes each in RAID 1. That basically mirrors the data on 2 different drives and helps prevent data loss. Finally, we're also going to be adding a Bluetooth, DVD, CD, internal CD player, and CD-ROM. The reason why we're doing that is there is a lot of business applications that you still want to be able to put those discs in and basically record. Granted, you can do most of the stuff downloading today, but we're going to need this for business purposes. On top of that, we also have a Logitech ProStream web camera. This is great if you're going to be doing web conferencing, anything along those lines. Not to mention, it has some pretty cool features if you're going to be doing games and want to stream that live. All right, so let's move on. We got a lot more components, and more importantly, can't wait till we get to the unboxing. So let's take a look at some of these additional components that are going to be going into a case. For a case, we selected the Corsair 760T. Graphite edition. It's basically black, but it has a beautiful, nice window. It's been out for a while. It's pretty simple, but for a closed-loop cooling solution, it's going to work perfectly. Pretty decent airflow, pretty simple, and we're going to keep the disco lights at the club, not in the case. For cooling, we selected the Corsair H115i. It's basically a 280mm radiator, which will help cool this CPU. It's closed loop, not much maintenance, should be easy to put in, almost anybody can do it. It is basically like Legos for adults. For a keyboard and mouse, we're using a Corsair Lux RGB mouse and keyboard. It is cherry brown mechanical, and it has that nice feel if you're used to doing keyboards and playing games. It's kind of what I like. On top of that, for power, we're using a Corsair AX1500i. It is a little bit overkill, but the whole rig is overkill anyways. We're going to go ahead and drop it in. On top of that, we actually are using Corsair magnetic levitation fans. White, and we also got the black caps for them, so I think it's going to keep that look clean and add a little bit of inside lighting. We do have a cable mod LED lighting, which will go around the perimeter of the case. to basically light it up solid white, so you can see all this stuff we're putting in there. Finally, operating system, Windows 10 Professional 64-bit. This basically is pretty much the case. Now let's get to the unboxing.
Stop the body rock.
Alright, so let's go ahead and move on and install the GeForce SLI HB bridge. This is a 4-slot bridge to correctly align where we have these cards. It's really just a matter of just dropping it in and hooking them up. So let's get it done. Okay, so let's unbox the Acer XB1. This is going to be in tandem with the X34. Okay, we're now up in the office. I basically moved the computer here and we are just about done with this build. I'm about to show you what the finished product looks like, but I wanted to go over a couple things first. One, I didn't show the power cables or the data cables and how I hooked them up. The reason why is not all motherboards are the same, and I didn't want someone to follow that incorrectly. Now, if you're building a computer and you're new to it for the first time, you may be intimidated by all the cables that have to go into the PC. But it's really easy. There's about 2 sets of them. There's data that comes with the motherboard, and there's power cables that usually come with the PSU. Now, they basically have clips on them. They pretty much line up, and if you're using Corsair products, they even tell you what they are, if they're a PCIe, CPU, or a SATA cable, and etc. Very simple to do. It's just lining them up, and keep in mind that some of these cables will go from an 8 to a 4 for it's a CPU, or a PCI can go from an 8 to a 6, and you just need to use what you need. Now, we got the computer set up, we got everything running, and really some cool stuff with this. We were able to overclock it, and we ran all the benchmarks, and we got it to about 36-38% increase over the base clock, which is about 3 gigahertz, up to about 4.1. It probably can go a little bit more, but with the cooling we have and the length of time we ran our benchmarks and tests, I'm very happy with the results and very happy with where it runs under load. In addition, we got the memory overclocked from a 2133 base clock to 3200. Very easy with the G-Skill, and it was pretty much just an XMP setting to get that accomplished. And then when it comes down to the SLI, we got that set up with the Titan GPUs with the slight overclock. They will run a little hot if you were running very serious graphics or playing games for a while, but they stay within range and they are not throttling down within the case. We just set up the fans and curved them. And one other important thing to know about setting this up is make sure you get the right drivers. Update the BIOS drivers, and also if you're using the Samsung Pro 950 or 960s are about to come out, get the Samsung driver. Windows automatically comes with the Windows driver. You want to switch that to the Samsung driver. It gives you so much more performance. Now, without further ado, let's take a look at the computer. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe and check us out on the web, asoplantype.com.